I'm pretty sure if you guys have seen a number of anime, TV shows, and especially a certain movie franchise based around street racing.
There's all kinds of family, Brian.
Disrespecting my whole family.
Yeah, that's the one. You'll be pretty familiar with the notion of how powerful a family can be if they work together. And I think we can all agree that while in the fictional world, that makes up for some memorable moments. In real life, however, the results are, let's just say, a little less inspiring. Because as it turns out, if you're a family who can look after each other and work well together, you can also choose the dangerous, not so honorable path. So, in this video, I'm going to tell you about 10 of the world's most powerful families and what exactly makes them so special. So, whether you're a fan of gangster movies or Game of Thrones, you better hold on tight because this video will get pretty wild. Number 10. Kinahan family. Dublin's Kinahan family. Now, at first glance, these guys are pretty much the textbook definition of a mafia family. They take part in drug trafficking, pay bribes to local law enforcement, and maintain a strict social and political position. But what sets them apart and gets them this spot on the list is their brutality, particularly against rival gangs. You see, Dublin, for quite a while now, has been divided amongst two gangs, the aforementioned Kinahan family and the Hutch gang. And while an unstable peace did exist between the two, in September of 2015, a small event led to a clash that would leave dozens dead. It all started when a member of the Hutch gang, Gary Hutch, leaked some valuable information about the Kinahan, which led to the police seizing a significant part of the Kinahan drug supply. Now, fearing an altercation, Hutch paid the Kinahan for their loss and thought that would be the end of it. But seeing as these guys made it to our video, you should probably already have guessed as to what happened next. In late September, the Kinahan arranged a brutal murder of Gary Hutch. And not only that, but when the Hutch decided to square up, the Kinahan reacted so strongly that a massive 18 people died during one strong episode. One episode. Number 9. The Moran family. Few families have influenced an entire country, let alone a very developed one, as much as the Morans have done to Australia. And even more than that, they're not even remotely political. So what gives? Well, the answer to that is a lot of cold-blooded murder. Over the years, this family has grown a lot smaller in size. And let me clear up that the change is not the result of careful family planning. That's right, as a result of their violent tendencies, this family has not only cost the lives of its own members in gang wars, but even more sickeningly, in a Game of Thrones level move,
The Lannisters send their regards.
the leaders of the family have even gotten their own relatives killed for fear of being usurped. And a shining example of that was seen in public when the family boss, Judy Moran, was charged with ordering the murder of her brother-in-law. His crime? Not making a wrong deal or teaming up against her, but announcing that he simply didn't want to be a criminal anymore. That and the dozens of other deaths that the family has caused over the years make them a solid pick for number 9 on this list. Camorra family. While the concept of a crime family is generally associated with the 1900s and sometimes the 1800s, their actual history goes a lot deeper, as far back as the 1600s. And while most of the old families have since dissolved, one of them is not only alive and kicking, but is actually stronger than ever before. And that is the Camorra extended family from Italy. Being quite possibly the precursor to all Western mafias, the thing that makes these guys different from the rest and the reason they're still around today is their power structure. You see, unlike most crime families, the Camorra are not united under one leader or even one banner. Instead, the members of the family usually operate in the form of semi-independent clans, each with their own boss. And by uniting the power of their family, with their extremely hard-to-destroy structure, these guys are the definition of deadly, and are responsible for dozens of deaths across Europe every month. As Vanity Fair once wrote, the Camorra never sleeps, and it's well known that if you make them angry, you'll find yourself a dead body before you know it. And no one will be able to point any fingers. And if that brutal efficiency with killing doesn't make them terrifying enough, the fact that their influence has grown from a small part of Italy to all of Europe, North Africa, and even some operations in North as well as South America is definitely going to make me uncomfortable. Number 7. The Addams family. With the undeniably powerful bond between Gomez and Morticia, the power of Lurch, and the deviousness of Wednesday, the Addams are a Wait a second. These guys are not my favorite goth family? Oh. Disappointing. That being said, while the family might lack a lot of dark makeup, something the family definitely does not disappoint in is their tendency for blood. Known as the kingpins of crime in all of the UK, Terry Adams and his clan have maintained an incredibly brutal rule over Britain, and not as a figurehead. Responsible for dozens of murders in their home country, and an even greater number of deadly operations in other countries, the Adams are the definition of an untouchable force, with the leaders openly threatening people while walking perfectly free. Number 6. The Genoese family. What kind of video about crime families would be complete without a good old New York mafia empire? And believe me, it doesn't get classier than this. One of the oldest and by far the most powerful of New York's big five crime empires, the Genoese crime family. Named so after boss Vito Genoese, may not be able to maintain the high public profile that it once did, but that definitely doesn't mean they're any weaker. In fact, to this day, the family maintains one of the most efficient and terrifying workforces in the city, and maintains such a high level of secrecy that many of their members don't know that they're employed by America's greatest crime lords. Number 5. The Sinaloa Cartel. Speaking of tropes classically associated with the concept of a perfect crime family, where the Genoese mafia has lost some of its finest suits and glamour, the Sinaloa Cartel has lost none of the potency and power of its predecessors. Apart from their home state of Mexico, this cartel is the most powerful and feared drug trafficking organization in dozens of Central American countries. In America, parts of Europe, and even all the way across in Australia. And while up till now, we've mostly only dealt with families who've killed a few dozen people over their existence, the Sinaloa Cartel is known to easily kill nearly 50 people in a single gang fight, earning them this spot on our list. Number 4. The Koch family. Up till now, we've only focused on families who draw their power from violence and massacre. But now, let me introduce you to a completely new branch of deadly influence: money. And no family better shows just how effective a tool plain cash is than the Koch family from the States. Controlling the single biggest private corporation in the world and having a net worth of over $120 billion, the Kochs are an empire in all but name. And while they might not be directly responsible for any bloodshed, using their massive fortune, they've influenced international politics for their personal benefit, slowed down all efforts against climate change, created intentional controversies to distract from issues surrounding their oil empire, and downright funded violent politicians for personal support. And seeing as how avidly they oppose climate reform, and are known to ruin the lives of those who oppose them, in a way, every death caused by climate change will be on their hands, which shows you just how dangerous these guys really are. Number 3. The Kim family. If I asked you guys to imagine a violent dictator, so evil that they're practically childish in concept, you still wouldn't be able to picture the kind of person Kim Jong-un is. And with his father and grandfather before him not contributing to the world's most totalitarian and brutal government, one which probably has the blood of tens of thousands on its hands, the Kim family has got to be among the bloodiest in history. Number 2. The Rothschilds. Now, before we get into all the Illuminati and other kinds of conspiracy theory business, let me clarify that I don't think the Rothschilds secretly run the world. But being the literal richest family in the world, I think saying that their centuries-old and hundreds of billions of dollars worth fortune has influenced history at times would be an understatement. From lending two sides of war money to cause unimaginable death and suffering, to swiftly and brutally putting down any competition before they can rise up, the amount of human and infrastructure damage caused by the money they've loaned alone is enough to make them the most dangerous financial family in the world. Number 1. The Bean family. At number 1, we have a family that you probably have not heard of, and for good reason too. You see, unlike the other families on this list, the Bean family's crimes were so abhorrent and horrifying that the entire family was wiped off the face of the earth. Every single member was sentenced to death. So, what was the Bean family, and what did they do? You see, the Bean family was a family of cannibals born through incest. The Bean family lived in the hills of East Lothian in Scotland in the 16th century. The family was started by Sawney Bean and his wife, Black Agnes Douglas. The couple gave birth to children, and then, through incest, the family grew to over 48 in the 25 years they lived in the hills. Any travelers unfortunate enough to be traveling near the hills were caught and eaten by the Bean family. The cannibalistic horror family continued their crimes until the entire family was sentenced to death and killed near the end of the 16th century by the king and a 400-man search party sent to the area. The entire family was burned to death, and what was left of their victims was buried. What a truly horrible and vile family. I hope you enjoyed watching today's video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. With that, take care, and I'll see you guys next time.